bring on our guest. But before I
Yep.
get to that, Dane, I got some updates for you, man.
Yeah.
This week's going to be huge. I know we're all excited that we finally dipped into the high 20s
Yeah.
and low 30s. So with
Yeah.
great weather comes some great guests. This week
Yeah.
we've got four big ones. The one that we'll be getting to today, Dan, I got to tell you, there's an artist that we've been
Yeah.
listening to for a long time. This guy's been a part of the
Absolutely.
band called Default. Got his own rock company, of course, or rock label. Rock is Dead. Producer does it all. This guy, I'm telling you, if you need to hear a song, make a song, give advice on a song, or just need someone
Yeah.
to kind of run it past, this is the guy that does it all. So,
Yeah.
let me give you a little story about this band, Dane. I remember my first time I heard him. My buddies and I, we thought we were the young, awesome musicians. Thank goodness nobody will hear those early demo days. We're jamming and we're like, we hear this song come on, wasting my time. Everybody's familiar with it, and that guitar lick.
Yeah.
And my buddy's like, I'm gonna go learn this today. And this is before YouTube, way back in the day. So we sat at home for one weekend, all weekend long. Thought we mastered the song. Then we found out we were in the wrong key, playing it the whole time. So it was really cool. So that's the day we fell in love with Default. And since then, obviously, they've had many hits. My favorite, of course, Throw It
Yeah.
All Away. Still going strong, just kind of re-released in 2018, kind of a
Yeah.
recut of
Yeah.
reimagining some of their songs. So, man, as Danny, before I get too fanboyed out,
Yeah.
let me jump into it and bring on Danny Craig. Danny, how you doing, brother?
Hey fellas, how you guys doing?
Amazing.
Excellent. Excellent. Hey, thank you for your time. We appreciate it on a Sunday.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Danny.
Absolutely.
Like I said, man, I've been following you and your style. I think you're an amazing drummer. Your technique is flawless. You play very clean, but you can also play like Gonzo when you need to and get down. So I love your dichotomy when you play. So we've got some questions, Danny. I'm going to jump into it. I'll go first. When you're looking at your body of work, man, obviously with Default, Rock is Dead, all the things you've helped produce, you've been a busy guy for a long time in the music world. But I'm curious, maybe when you go back to the early days, even before some of your own hits you've made, when did you get the itch to start playing? Like, how old were you? When did this all begin
Yeah.
for you?
I can remember the moment like as clear as day. It was grade 8 in the band room, and I was in the high school band, and I'd go like, I was one of the guys who'd go eat my lunch in the band room and play the drum kit type thing, because I would just at that point, well, maybe I should back up a little further. 11 years old is when I started playing drums. I started with just like smashing away on ice cream buckets, and then a cousin of mine heard me doing that one day, playing to the radio, and she had an old drum kit in her attic or whatever, brought that over, and that was kind of the beginning of that. So I started playing around 11, come late 12, 13 years old, playing in the band room. Friends of mine played other instruments, and I remember specifically, I was sitting on the drums, had a buddy of mine playing bass, and we were playing Green Day's Longview, and that was the first time I had played an actual like cover song with another musician, and that feeling was just like I'm almost getting goosebumps talking about it right now. It was such a pivotal moment. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. This is it. This is what I want to do. I want to play in a band. I want to play music, right? And then ever since then, it was my only focus. So throughout high school, eventually I got into a band that played bar gigs, before I had graduated, and I'd go in and play in the bars when you're 16, 17. I'd have to like sit in the office or something like that, or outside in the truck or whatever till it was time I could go on the stage and do the show, and then it was done, right? So yeah, it started for me there in high school, and then it was really a very soul focus. Getting out of high school, getting into my late teens and whatnot, that was what I wanted to do, and the guys that I had gotten with wanted to do as well. So
love it, man. And move over lanes, Taylor. You weren't the only one sneaking into clubs and playing.
Yeah,
Danny shows up. I love it, man. Well, that's
absolutely
cool to see the backstory, Dane, before you go too. And thank you, Green Day, for inspiring Danny, who then becomes on to be this rock mogul. So go ahead, Dane. That's awesome.
Do you happen to recall what the name of your first band was that you guys went out gigging with?
I do. It's not a great name. It's the band was called Enema.
Okay, nice.
That was the band I joined when I was 17.
Hey, there you go, man.
Nice.
Angsty teenager, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Great. I still actually the singer of that band I'm still good friends with to this day, and the bass player with that band, still good friends with to this day. So it was, yeah, it's, music always
Yeah.
brings people together, right?
I love
Oh
that.
yeah, you got to start somewhere. I mean, you got to start at square one.
Yeah.
From those days when you first started playing and in the little bars and things like that to, reaching superstardom and playing in huge arenas and facilities that you've played in. Can you recall maybe one or two events or gigs that come to mind that are at the forefront of your mind whenever you start thinking back on where you started to where you are now that you can maybe
Yeah.
share with us?
Yeah, I mean, well, it was crazy because for us, we started Default last half of '99,
Mhm.
and we had we had a real mandate when we started the band that we were like, okay, we want to, because I mean, we were already playing with Nickelback before they were signed way back then in the late '90s, right? And then we saw them go and get their record deal and get started. So we were like, man, we want this thing we want to do this too. So we mandated when we started Default, Monday to Friday, no excuses. We're rehearsing every day. We'd hang out on the weekends. We would, take care, obviously we'd party on the weekends, but we'd also take care of whatever, mailing out CDs and, doing whatever we had to do maintenance wise to the band van and things like that. Like whatever we could do outside of rehearsal, we were doing that on the weekends, and we were rehearsing for 4 or 5 hours a day every day after we'd all work our jobs, right? The way back in the beginning, right? So when Wasting My Time came out, well, I should say even before that, so we managed to secure ourselves a deal in the US with a label called TVT Records. They sent us back down to Seattle to record some more songs, and that's where Wasting My Time came from. And then the record came out. So all of this happened in the span of maybe probably 18 months. And when Wasting My Time came out, it was mega. It was skyrocketed to the top of the charts. So we really went from kind of playing in the garage, boom, to playing in big festivals in the US and opening for bands in arenas, and we were launched right into it. So I mean, that whole time of 2000, 2001, 2002, such a whirlwind. It's so hard to even pick one moment because the whole thing was just the whole time just coming at us, right? So I remember certain things like we would go play a festival. Well, because the song was big, we were not early on the festivals. We were like, third to last, fourth to last, sometimes second to right. We were playing up there with the really big bands. So I remember one festival, for instance, we had to go on after Seven Dust.
Okay.
And you guys have probably seen Seven Dust. They're incredible.
Yeah.
And trying to follow a band like that, and we're a bunch of, young early 20s. Like, what are we supposed to do? So I mean, I remember moments like that really sort of kicked us into gear, and certainly other times. I mean, obviously Nickelback had How You Remind Me at the same time,
right?
So and we're really tight with those guys, so we did a whole bunch of touring. We probably did 150 shows with them on our first record, and that was all for them. They were starting to do the arenas already, so we're supporting them in arenas. We got to do this MTV Campus Invasion tour, which is all just university campuses.
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Crazy times, right? It was absolute crazy times. And that whole, I mean, I think we did 460 shows in that 2-year period. Crazy. And on the road for 17 months of it. So it was pretty wild, and a lot of it's very blurry.
Understandable, man. Understandable. You think about like the scene, right? We remember, because if I remember right, when you guys dropped your debut, it was Wind Up. Was it Wind Up at the time? I think your record?
No, it was TVT Records.
Okay, that's right. But there's a scene, man. But we of us people coming up in that scene. Like, I'm in my late 30s, so your time from music is my generation, right? Me and Dan talked about this, and you guys see their 12 Stones, even something more obscure like Falling Up stuff, like this whole scene of what you guys did. It was like everybody at that time. It's so cool because everybody from that time frame, you guys included, everybody was making great music. It was like a great
Yeah.
time to be alive, right? Like coming in
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
you guys are
Absolutely.
influenced by the 90s, you can tell. I mean, it's coming into your music, and then you guys are
Definitely.
leaving a mark on music. No wonder even 20 plus years later, people can't get enough of you guys because you're part of a time when music was at its, in my opinion, its best. So influence, I say that kind of leading into the question. Obviously, people like yourself that have influenced us. I mean, you've got the Scott Stapps. I mean, you got the, like I said, the post grunge, Sean's from Seether and all that. Maybe there's a couple bands that influenced you or you guys coming into it. What were a couple
Yeah.
influences on you when you're
Well,
even now or then, So
yeah, you nailed it by saying the 90s. I mean, for me, it was totally Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden and Stone Temple Pilots and
right.
all those kind of those kind of 90s song rock bands, right? That they weren't like they still had those songs that had choruses and had that kind of familiar structure that we're all kind of used to with popular songs, right? But they still had that. They weren't perfect and polished, right? They still had that grunge, I guess, bit sort of element to it, right? And especially coming out of the 80s where things did hit a perfect and polished sort of moment, and it was all about the big production and the big this and the big hair and the big everything, right? So grunge, that grunge era was more of a had more of a genuine vibe to it, and it was sort of a more of a real thing, right? So that was myself and Dallas too, very influenced by the 90s stuff. And then Dave, our bass player, he's a little older, so he's more of the big hair, the big sound 80s stuff, right? And then Jeremy, he's kind of right in the middle, but he went back even further. He was super into Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and the kind of the 70s stuff, right? So really, with all of our sort of, I guess, eclectic, I don't know if it's very eclectic, but all of our different tastes, combined to kind of steer us in the direction we went, right? So, and then we had, great help from, on our first album, Chad from Nickelback produced it, right? So we had huge help from him and learned a lot about songwriting and stuff from him. And then, when we did record Wasting My Time, we got to go down to Seattle and work with Rick Parasher, who produced Pearl Jam 10 and Blind Melon and Temple of the Dog and stuff like that. So that was another big moment for us, and learned a lot of different things from him as well. And you sponge from everywhere, though, constantly the whole time, right?
You think about, man, the day before you take 4, you said something, man, when you guys are recording in Seattle, you're recording in grunge heaven, right? You walk around, you can see Jerry or Lane walking around, or the whole scene.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, man, maybe like they always talk about artist headspace. When you guys are recording in these legendary studios, I mean, obviously, now, but probably got to be part of the reason why you started your own studio, I'm sure, man. Like, what was the vibe like when you're recording in these hallowed grounds? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm curious to know what it was like for you.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, going to that first moment, stepping into London Bridge Studios down there, and just seeing all he had a bunch of drum skins up on the wall that bands had done made some artwork on or whatever and put up on the wall, and there's Pearl Jam, and there's the whatever, some different guys. I'm sure there was probably a Temple of the Dog one up there too, which is mostly half Pearl Jam anyway. But just seeing all these things, all his plaques that he had and stuff. And, whoa, you did this and you did that, and definitely a big moment. And then you put somebody like that on such a pedestal, and then you meet them, and they're just cool and down to earth, and just very matter of fact. And I suppose that's part. I don't know if that's part of the reason why I built a studio ultimately and got into record production. That's kind of another story, but it's the producers that I did get to work with, Rick and another, Chad, of course, and Bob Marlette, we've done a few records with, and they all work very similarly. And I definitely got a lot of the way I work, the way I approach artists from them. It's not really, none of those guys put the artist on the pedestal. I mean, if you ever talk to someone who goes to recording school, they're like, oh, they're the talent's the talent. You gotta, It's like all the good producers that I've ever worked with, they've been like, sit down and shut up. Just
just listen.
listen to the captain for a minute. All right, we'll set things straight.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, and that's what you want. You want, in a producer, you want to, it's like you buy a yacht, you don't drive it yourself, you hire a skipper, right?
Right, right.
So not that I have a yacht, but I'm just saying.
I got you though. I'm with you, man. I see what you're saying.
And
Yeah,
yeah, you need someone, you need a captain, you need someone to drive the boat.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That goes right into your question, Dane. Right
Yeah,
into
well, I was gonna ask, what is it? A couple of things that you look for, maybe like a younger artist, or maybe even could you some of those younger kids that are looking to get into the industry from the producers.
Oh,
Right. Yeah,
for.
you guys still hear me? I thought it was breaking up a little bit.
sorry, it was a quick break on Dane's side. Dane, you there? Is that better, Dane?
Yeah. I think I got you. Okay. I would just want to know, maybe if you could speak to from the producer side of music, maybe for a younger artist coming up wanting to get into the industry, what are a couple of things, maybe tips that maybe you look for in an coming up and coming in?
That's good.
Definitely. So, well, I mean, definitely, it's like the work ethic is huge, right? I mean, so many people think, oh, music's easy, or singing's easy, or all I have to do is get discovered, or you can mold me or whatever. Like all that sort of TV, magic and wishes. It doesn't really. It's not the real music industry, right? Music industry is a business. It's a wild west of a business, but it is a business,
right?
And yeah, I'm always looking for, especially even with my label Rock is Dead, with the bands that we work with, for me to want to work with an artist, I need to see that they're super dedicated. It's they do it every day. Like, you really have to eat, breathe, and
live it. Yeah, live it.
The whole bit. Music. It's gotta be music, right? So the people that really give it their all, and you can see it in the way they perform. I can tell instantly when I call them hobbyists, if somebody's a hobbyist or if they're serious, right? Like, from the first note they sing, or even the way they talk about stuff. There's a certain vibe to somebody who really is uber passionate about it and really wants to make it happen as a career, right? So another thing I look for, and I don't recommend this, but when I'm talking to someone, they're like, yeah, I love music, blah blah blah. Yeah, I'd like to get into it. I'm just going to finish university first, and this and that and the other thing, and that's great. Hey, university is good if you want a career in something,
right.
But music, music's got to be your university if you want a career in music. You can't have, you don't have time for all of it. You've really got to be 100% in and go the whole time. I mean, that's how my band broke.
Right.
Let's get together. I can get together one day this week and whatever. It's not. It's like it's
every
day.
Squeeze in a rehearsal here and there. Yeah.
Definitely.
You're living and breathing it, man. Yeah.
Exactly.
I love
it. Yeah, definitely.
That's really it. And I'm sure it's very much similar to being an athlete too. It's like you got to be every day, all in.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, with being all in, now that we're in the new year, 2024, what's on the horizon for you as maybe a couple things as a musician, and are there anything coming up that you can maybe divulge coming through your label there?
Yeah, definitely. Well, obviously, with Default, the bulk of our career was in the 2000s, 2000 to 2010 kind of thing, right? And then we took a bit of a hiatus after, into the 2010s, I think 2012ish or whatever. Took some time off. Dallas, our singer, went and started a country career.
Yeah.
So are you guys in the US or Canada?
Yeah, Wichita, Kansas. Yeah.
Okay, you're
US.
Kansas. So US. Up in Canada here, currently, right? Well, not even currently. For the past few years, Dallas has been one of the biggest country stars in Canada. Yeah. Like, literally, he's had like, I don't know, 8 number ones in a row or something like that. It's insane. He's like mega country star in Canada now, so it's wild. But we actually got back together, and not that we always stayed in touch. We didn't like break up or nothing. We just stopped playing shows, right? But in 2018, an old promoter friend of ours offered to put us on the road with Seether and Stone Temple Pilots across Canada, and all in arenas. We were like, well, we can't say no to that. That sounds like fun. So we got the gears back together and put the set together and went out and did that. And so ever since then, obviously we had another little mini hiatus with COVID, but ever since then we've been getting together and doing half dozen or so festival shows, every summer kind of thing. So
Nice.
there's that this year. There's going to be, easily a handful of default shows that we'll get out and do. Again, there'll probably be festivals in the summer and whatnot. So there's that. With Rock is Dead, we've got two awesome bands that we started with. One's called Chase the Bear. The other one's called the Vidos, Vidos.
Okay.
And we released records with both of them last year, and we're planning on releasing more material with both of them this year. So, I mean, I've been working hard, behind the scenes, if you will, recording all that new stuff with both of those guys. So we've been just getting material ready to come out and have hopefully a constant flow of material come out from Rock is Dead. Still looking for another band to sign, so you never know if I'll find something cool there and we'll have a third act to come out. But there's that, and then what else is going on? I thought there was a third thing.
That's a lot already, man. I mean,
there's
busy guy,
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
there's other bands other artists that I produced in the past that are coming back for a couple more tunes this year. So nice. Yeah, it's just trying to just stay busy with music and doing whatever we can, right?
I've had a few buddies, man, different, and I knew about Dallas. That's really cool, man. I'm glad for success and what you guys are all going on, and it's in you, the passion to do music. No wonder you guys are all continue to be successful. I was curious, man, before I take Rapid, do you ever do, and some artists do this, some don't, do you enjoy doing studio work for other bands? I know some drummers do it, some don't. Is that part of what you do still even now? Like, not for Rock is Dead, but just do you ever fill in for other bands and do stuff like that? Or
I used to do it quite a bit.
Yep.
Like way back when, after our first album came out, and Chad had produced it, right? Chad and his buddy Joey Moy, who's also a giant country producer now in the US, they would just like I do now, they would work with indie artists, and oftentimes, I mean, one of the most common things that happens with a young band is they don't really know how to play to a metronome. Or they haven't had that studio experience playing to a metronome, and drummers can be the worst with that. So they would get me in quite often to come and play the drums on the records they were producing, because I could play to a metronome pretty comfortably, right? So and cool. My meter is pretty even, I should say, right? It doesn't, it's not wonky, right? So that's something that you look for in a studio drummer for sure. So yeah, I would do all sorts of things with them. One of the projects I did was I played on Theory of a Dead Man's demos before they got signed, and Chad was developing them as well at the time. So I played on 3 of their songs, and then they ended up using one of those tracks. They kept it for the record. One of the songs called "Get What You Deserve." Yeah, that's still me drumming on their first record.
That's cool, man. Yeah.
Song.
We actually interviewed Tyler a few weeks ago, man. Got to see him. Tyler's a great guy. So love the band, man. Like the whole scene. Again, they were here in Kansas with Saint Sonia. Both great acts. Love you guys. You guys send us a lot of great music from up there, man. We love you guys, man. So you guys know how to make rock, man. You do a lot of great things, hockey, and you guys make rock, dude. So anyway, that's really cool, man. What a small world, man. But no,
well, I think we were even on the last 3 days tour with Adam when he was in 3 days.
Yeah,
it was in like 2011 or something, or whatever. It was the early 2010s in Canada, and we were on that tour, and then that happened, right?
That's cool, man. Wow, what a small world. Yeah, our buddy Cody from Saint Sonia. Again, you guys are just great, like the whole scene, man. But there's a segment I'm going to transition to. I'm going to make you laugh. I've already had some fun, already had some giggles, man, and we've had a good time. But there's a segment that we do every episode. Our fans are great. They give us questions from around the world. We do a little thing. It's called Rapid Fire. Now, I'm going to set the stage for this. What this is, Dane and I are betting on what we think you're going to say. Like, there's no wrong answer here. We both have these answers. We've already bet, almost like a DraftKings type thing on what we think you're going to say. It's really cool. So when we present these 5 questions, you can pick what you want from the heart, and we're going to tell you which one of us gets closer to aligning ourselves to your answers at the end. We're keeping score. It's pretty cool. Okay. Awesome. During this segment, reality doesn't exist, past or present, anything's possible. Just kind of a fun little personality rapid fire Rorschach test. Okay, you ready?
All right.
So first one, they're obviously known for being a great drummer, producer, musician, but they call you up and says, "Hey, Danny, we need you to fill in for the night for 2 for one of these two game show hosts for the night. We need you to be a game show host for the night for two of these classic TV like game shows, and you get to pick. All right, you can pick to fill in for Jeopardy for the night, or you can fill in for Wheel of Fortune. You get to choose which one you're going to fill in for the night.
I gotta say Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, I had Jeopardy. Dang it, Dan had Jeopardy. I'm already coming out of the gate, man. Today, would you have?
Oh yeah, Wheel of Fortune.
Let's go.
I think it's probably more exciting. More
Yeah,
exciting.
who wouldn't want to hang out with Vanna White?
Got you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right? There you go. Probably
Love
still
it.
to this day at whatever 80 years old, she's probably still a bombshell.
Let's go. Love it, man. So second question. So check this out. We're going back into the late 70s, early 80s, and both of these, not the producers, but the actual talent themselves, come up to you and say, "Hey, Danny, we want you. We know you're known for being a drummer and all that. We want you to record a jingle for our TV show. We want you to be the guy that produces the song." The people that walk up to you is either Bob Ross, you can make his jingle, or you can make the commercial for the Golden Girls jingle. Bob Ross, Golden Girls, which one are you going with?
All right, I'm gonna go with Bob Ross.
Let's go.
'Cause
I have one for one. Let's go.
It's probably hard to top the already existing Golden Girls.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
It is, but that'd be a cool remix. Maybe you guys can drop that on maybe a cover someday, man. That'd be a really cool cover,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm just saying.
There's
Then
got
would
to
you-
be a hard metal cover of that somewhere or something like that, right?
Somebody please find that for us. That'd be
Yeah,
that'd be
yeah,
a
it's-
dope track.
I was gonna say, if not, it's begging to be done.
Let's go.
It's begging to be done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, it's a thing, because a lot of people are redoing like the classics. So maybe you and Dallas can get together and
There you
make a
go.
Golden Girls cover. Just saying, reimagine.
I'll hit him with it. I'll see what he says.
Which one do you have, Dane, on that?
Oh yeah, I had Bob Ross.
Okay.
Yeah.
let's go. You got me 1 for 1, Dane. So you're ahead of me by 1. So next one. Okay. Legendary drummer for a second. So they're doing a 24-hour Guinness Book of World Records drum competition where they basically want you and another one of these two guys for charity to drum for 24 hours straight. Like they're going to give you, Red Bulls and all that stuff. These guys are alive. They're both alive. You can choose. You can go with Vinny Colaiuta, or you can go with Neil Peart as your marathoner for this 24-hour event. Who's going to be your partner for this?
That's a tough one.
Let's
I guess let's go with Neil. Just
go.
super
Let's go.
iconic, right? Everyone knows Neil.
I am
You know what?
sad.
Funny. Do you guys know the band? You guys know the band, The Tea Party?
I do. Yeah.
So Jeff Burrows, he actually does a 24-hour drum marathon every year for charity.
Does he
Hilarious.
really?
Oh wow.
Really? Wow. Okay. Well, I didn't even know. I didn't put that together, man. I didn't think of that, man. But
He does,
I'm
yeah.
honestly, I'm sad to say I got that wrong. I had you for Vinny. I really did. Dane, did you have
Okay.
Vinny? Yeah.
Yeah, that, again, like you said, it's a tough one. So I just kind of flipped the coin on that one. I went with Neil.
Got you.
Nice.
So I'm trying to catch up here, Dane. A couple more of these. So check this out. We're going back to your guys' first demo days when you and the guys, Dallas, are starting out, and they say, "Hey, we want you to go into the studio," and this is a very unique concept. A lot of times you'll see like pop goes punk these days, and a lot of covers, right? You see that stuff. Well, they say rock goes big band. So what they want you to do, Love Dallas, you and the guys get together. You're gonna do a Frank Sinatra concept cover album where you're taking all Sinatra songs and you're redoing them, and you guys get to have a fill-in singer. Again, Love Dallas, but you have one of these two people to choose from. You can have Scott Stapp fill in as a singer for this project, or Scott Weiland fill in for this project. Who are you guys gonna have as the singer for this project?
Wow. Yeah. I'll have to go with Scott Weiland.
I can see Scott Weiland's voice being a little bit more big bandish, you know what I'm saying, some of his range. So
Yeah,
yeah.
he's probably got that crooner in him, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
You can hear
Kind of
it.
maybe some of the stuff he kind of did on this 12-bar blues.
Yeah.
CD
Yeah.
there. Maybe something like that.
There you go.
Last one. It's funny you mentioned Seven Dust, man, because I literally didn't even. This was. I had these questions before you even mentioned that. So last one. You guys are going on a reunion tour. You guys are all, still spry young lads. All of you guys are getting a little older, right? But they say, hey, you guys are going on a default reunion tour. They're going to do some flag football for charity. A lot of charity stuff. And you can decide to take on one of these two other bands in a flag football game for charity. So your choices, you can go against Seven Dust as your opponent, or you can go against Seether in this charity flag football game. Seven Dust or Seether, who are you going against?
Okay, I think we've got a better chance of winning against Seether because those guys build such a party party guys. I don't know, Corey's in pretty good shape, but if you look at Seven Dust, those guys would kill us. They're giants, they're muscular, they would destroy it. So I think we'd have a better chance against Caesar.
Yeah, I think you're right. Corey does do some jiu-jitsu, but I think he might be the only one to give you.
Yeah, I think he's the only one.
I love it, man. That's awesome. Danny, who'd you have? Seven Dust or Cedar?
No, I put Seven Dust.
Yeah, let's go.
Fan, but I should have thought of it that way, like you did, Danny. But
Yeah.
I didn't. I just come with my heart on it.
I get to see those guys. They just put an arm out and just knock us over.
Stiff arm, yeah. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, they're all great, man. But thanks, man. That's just a little segment we do called Rapid Fire. So hopefully the interviews you've had a little different. Appreciate you being good sport, and I'll give it back to Dane for that last segment.
Yep. For this last segment, Danny, we call it open mic. We kind of open up the floor to our guests to maybe talk to that once again, that younger crew that is listening to you, maybe aspires to reach greatness one day, maybe to drop them a couple of words of wisdom, maybe something you've carried along in your career to help you to be successful the way you are. Is there maybe one or two things you could tell them to kind of help them along their path?
Definitely, yeah. I think I'll reiterate the doing it every day part. And so whatever you want to be, like for me as a drummer, I played drums every day. I'd come home from school, I'd play them at school, and I'd come home from school and I'd go down to the basement. And luckily my parents, they may have put the earplugs in, but they were cool with me playing as much as possible. So it's great to have a supportive family. But you got to do it every day. If you want to be a songwriter, you got to write songs every day. If you want to, anything you want to do, it's got to be, if you truly want to do that as like a potentially a career or professionally or whatever, it's got to be every day. And usually it's easy to do something every day if you love it, right?
Yeah.
You don't even think about it. I never thought to myself, oh, I have to play today to keep getting better or whatever. I just wanted to every day. So I think if you can find something like that you want to do every day, then that's probably a good indication that it's a passion. And I guess unless it's video games, because those are great too, but maybe that's just for the endorphins. I don't know, but you get endorphins doing anything you love, right? So there you go. It all works out.
I think
that would be the first one. And then I think you don't want to be, you need to set goals, but you don't want to be too stressed over, hitting goal A and hitting goal B. I think if you're passionate about something and you're just doing it all the time, you're going to naturally get better at it, and you're going to be in the right place at the right time if you're pursuing those things, right? If you love live music, you're going to be at a lot of shows, you're going to meet other musicians, you're just going to meet people. So that's the other thing, I guess. Maybe it's that it's networking, it's meeting other like-minded people and having a good group or scene that you hang out in that's full of people that have the same interests, right? So
it's so
Absolutely.
interesting, like you said, Danny, how looking at what you do, musicians, athletes, you're practicing every day, practicing throwing the football, practicing playing drums, practicing even with your skill set for producing, doing what you love. Like it's almost like, think about a football game, or when you're on tour, you're on stage for an hour a night, but the other 23 hours of prep throughout each day, because you're networking, you're meeting people, you're working with the stage crew, and when you're off, you're working on practicing new gear, recording, demoing. Like it's such a behind the scenes. Music is a behind the scenes thing, as you pointed out to, just like with athleticism and all that, man. It's like when you go on stage, you see the final 1% of the 99% of work that you've done for the rest of the day or whatever. So it's kind of cool to see that, like how much hard work goes into rock and roll. You know what I mean? So.
Absolutely. And I wonder if I would think it's similar to an athlete playing in the game, but when you as a musician, when you're doing the show on stage, there's no cooler feeling than walking out on a stage and just giving everything. Like when I'm playing on a stage, I scream, I'm spitting. It's like nothing's planned. It's just like I'm just giving everything for the show, right? And there's endorphins from that. There's a high you get from that, but the feeling never changed. Like from way back 25 years ago, playing the first shows that we did, all the way to playing shows last summer, it's just as awesome of a feeling,
That's
right?
cool.
So, you know, it's tough to put that down.
Mm. Well, thankfully, it sounds like you're not slowing down anytime soon, man. Appreciate like
Yeah.
now we always say the next generation of musicians and athletes is in good hands.
Absolutely.
I'm so thankful. Dane and I say people like yourself, whether it's Chase the Bear, or the Vitos. It's cool that you're now leaving your mark on the next generation of musicians while you're still good at doing it. You know what I mean? Like it's cool
Yeah.
that you're doing it at the same time of teaching the next generation. So I can't wait to see more of what you put out, man. You're welcome
Yeah.
anytime.
Absolutely.
Dane and I say this, you're welcome to come back as new bands. Send them our way too, man. We'll happily showcase those bands for you. We've
Yeah.
done that.
Absolutely.
Chet from
Well,
Three Doors Down sent us a few people to work with as well, his producing. So, man, you ever want to bring somebody this way? If they're anything working with you, we know they're going to be great. So,
Yeah.
anytime, send them our way. We'll happily showcase them for you too.
Absolutely.
that's very cool. Thank you. Thank you. I will. I'll send you guys some links. Absolutely.
Good, man. We'll make sure we stay in touch. Danny, I know you're a busy guy. We appreciate you. We can't say enough thank yous for you making the time to do this. Bucket list item for me and Dane.
Yeah.
Please let it be the
Absolutely.
first of many. We mean this when we say come back anytime, and we'll hold you to it if you're open to it. Okay.
Absolutely open to it, guys. This was great. I loved it.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah.
Well, you take care,
Very
brother.
good.
You're welcome to drop off, and we'll be in touch very soon. And make sure to send those guys our way. We'll showcase them.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
All right. Well, thanks,
All right.
fellas.
All right.
thanks, brother.
Thank you for
Have a
your
good
time,
one.
Good
Danny.
weekend.
Take care. So, Dane, I'm telling you, man, Danny, I love that dude. Like the way he talks about his passion for
Yeah.
doing this. What do you think of it? Wasn't he great?
Yeah. I mean, that message he gives about something you have a passion for, do it every day, goes along some of the lines we've heard of athletes and musicians say 1% better every day.
Yeah.
And that has to be an everyday thing, consistency, being true to yourself, the endorphins like he talked about, not many people put it that way, but that's what you get from something you enjoy. And you're on the right path when you have that day after day after day.
Mhm.
And that only comes as following your passion. So
Man.
it's a great message to hear.
They've always said, and I know again, the band's great. All the guys in the band are just down to earth guys. But I've always
Yeah.
made it a point. I wanted him because he was the driving force behind the band.
Yeah.
Again, they all are. No, I love them all, right? And his passion, just the way he talks about it, music is his life, right? He chose to,
Yeah.
work with a lot of bands by drumming, but he's a very talented guy.
Yeah.
This is how he chose to support the band and make them the next level. And they have so many iconic songs, man. It's interesting. What I love is they're one of those bands where you can sit down and actually play the entire album. Yeah, everybody's got their hits. We get that, but there's no B-sides. When they make an album, it doesn't matter where you are in the album, it's great. So having, as we've talked about, I believe the best time frame of music, they're part of that. They came from that 90s movement, right? And look at them now. No wonder everybody loves them going strong, and they're begged for 25 years later. There's no question of why, because look at what they do, So
Absolutely.
what a great day, man. That's a great one. So drummers, we have a passion for drummers, Dane. Speaking of which, we officially get to announce this week, Dane. I wanted to save this for the ending. So we have our buddy, of course, Coach Briglin stopping by Thursday. But speaking of drummers, our icon of the genre, Primus drummer and Perfect Circle original drummer Tim Alexander stopping by Thursday, Dane. That's going to be another great night.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah. So it's going to be a great week, and we got many more to come. But man, I learned a lot today, Dane. Follow your passion. Keep your motivation in front of you. Don't let off the gas, and if you love it, you'll continue to do it without a problem. So that was a good one, Dane. Another
loves it.
gold star for that. So on that note, you guys, we'll save some more for the days ahead. As always, don't forget that we love you. And Dane,
thank you for listening.